Thank God this is animated because I'm not quite sure if I could handle this episode if it wasn't. We are at episode 4 of Creature Commandos, and it was by far the most heartbreaking of what we've seen. Spoilers if you aren't up to date. It's crazy that Weasel has the most human rights because he's essentially a dog. He doesn't really have a conscience. Goes off of instinct and connection. So it's crazy to me that of all of the Creature Commandos, he is the only one with a human's rights lawyer. I just thought it was a crazy reflection on the justice system, but also how we treat animals better than we treat humans. This helicopter scene did such a great job of showing us, one, that Frankenstein is very dangerous, and two, that he's insecure. I was crying that Cersei's face was still burnt up. For some reason, I felt like Amanda Waller's jab towards Cersei being over-sexualized was a subtle jab to Harley Quinn, the original one that doesn't exist in this universe, who was fighting Enchantress in panties. I was not surprised that Amanda was willing to hear out Cersei's vision because Amanda is always looking for the worst in people and then uses that to justify her doing unspeakable acts. And Cersei gave her the confirmation bias she needed to immediately put a hit out. I felt like Amanda's reaction to Cersei's premonition was more powerful than the premonition itself. Even though we saw the Justice League on skewers and all of these terrible things, seeing Cersei crying at that vision and then seeing Amanda like this rattled even me. Listen, I think that Amanda Waller overreacted to this vision by saying, let's immediately kill the princess. But I'm not quite sure if Rick Flag would be protesting this much if he didn't have sex with the princess. And I'm glad that Amanda clocked that tea. Rick actually got on my nerves for a good bit of this episode. Why did he try to discredit the mascara because they were all women? He ain't never been there. And it's clear there is a Wonder Woman in this universe because we saw her in Cersei's vision. And we also, the mascara, all that stuff. So what is this man's deal? The one Amazonian he knows is incredibly powerful, well-read, well-spoken, and knows loads more than him. And also has access to magic. Like he's looking at a witch. I didn't know why he was moving this way besides booty. And it was pissing me off. And then when Amanda called him out on it, he went and committed treason? Swear to God, Princess Alana got that crazy nanny because the way he was moving was insane. Ended up forgiving him though because he got his immediately after. I gotta tip my hat off to Flag because he be holding his own against monsters that are 2-3 times stronger than him. And then he finds a way to incapacitate them. Now you gotta figure out how to not be pussy whipped. And David Harbour was a delight. I already had it in my mind after seeing him stalk the bride for a century that I was going to hate Frankenstein. But he was so freaking charming in this. That line delivery of, she's everyone's type and so are you, melted me. And then seeing that he is a movie buff who doesn't understand the concept of any of the movies. One, I found adorable, but two, I think kind of pushes the fact that he's an incel with no media literacy. So then why do I still love him? I don't know. I don't get it, y'all, but I couldn't get enough of him. And I still know he's terrible. I know that. I get it in my head, okay? He's misogynistic, he stalks women, he's abusive, he's insecure, but God damn it, I kind of was rooting for him. All right, well, let's get to Weasel's story because it was a doozy. As I mentioned before, Weasel is essentially a dog who was just interacting with children. Let me tell you, I expected the children that they said he killed to at least die by accident, but I didn't think it would all be based around people just misjudging him because he's ugly. I mean, he's terrifying, right? This thing has to be around 6 feet and he stands on his hind leg. If I saw a Great Dane walking around playing with children, I would be spooked too. But what Weasel's story highlights is how when even well-meaning people get involved, it typically ends up in destruction. That man had a reason to be afraid of Weasel, but him grabbing the gun, shooting up, not really assessing the situation because he's not a professional, ended up being the reason why all those children and himself died. Then they reminded us that the cops are also not great at assessing situations. Mind you, they came on this call that they didn't even want to answer. And when they did, they started shooting at this dog with a child in his mouth. Even if they thought this dog was holding it hostage, what was shooting gonna do besides kill this little girl? And then after they shot this Weasel multiple times, instead of going and checking on that little girl who fell, they focused on arresting him. There's an allegory in here with police brutality and Karens and the danger it poses to people, particularly people of color, but I'm not going to get into it because I'm having a good day. I'm on vacation. I'm in Vietnam. I don't want to deal with it. So I'll move on. Just consider what I mean by that. All in all, I thought this was an incredible episode. As I mentioned before, thank God this was animated because I'm not quite sure if I could watch this with real children. And that is the benefits of animation. You're able to do more and we can withstand more. So I'm going to go ahead and give this episode a well-deserved 5 out of 5 Frankie Flames. And don't forget to check out this week's episode of DC Studios Showcase on Max and Max's YouTube or anywhere you can listen to podcasts.